Hello and welcome to the Manifest to Live Life Golden Show. I am so excited today to have an amazing guest. He is from Minnow Pond Tarot. His name is Chris Reck. Welcome, Chris.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Oh my God, I'm so excited. So I just want to preface this show with saying that I have never been one to follow tarot. I'll be completely honest. And the whole idea of even like psychics or working with psychics always kind of took me to a place of like, well, I'm not creating my reality if I'm listening to somebody else about what my reality is going to become. But when I found Chris on YouTube, and I have no idea how I found him or how we found each other, but I know the universe works in great ways. I started to listen to him, and he puts a lot of different law of attraction stuff in there. And I thought, you know what? He gives me beliefs that I want to believe. And I think that's what sets your tarot apart from anything else I've ever listened to is the guidance you give actually inspires me to have wonderful belief systems that I'm actually seeing evidence of. So, when you first started doing tarot, first of all, like what was your introduction to tarot and how did you get interested in it?
Yeah, I've always been into, like, weird stuff. Don't even think I remember when exactly I got into it, because I've always just been into stuff. I think my grandma told me that I was, like, an Aquarius. I'm actually a Pisces, but my grandma told me that when I was, like, 4 years old, so it's, like, my earliest memory of, astrology, tarot, and I think she was kinda, like, into that stuff at the time as well. But then I got, like, my first deck when I was, probably in my later teens, somewhere around there,
Who
and
bought
I but
that for
even I
you?
was just, like, dabbling.
Who
You know
bought
what
it?
happened is I signed up. I bought it for myself, but not on purpose. I had signed up for a book club actually, which is a really weird story. I had signed up for this book club and it like was sent in with the part of the book club. It came with like a book and everything like that. So it's totally an accident. that
Wow,
that first
I'm
deck.
sure that wasn't Scholastic Book Club.
No, I don't even remember. Like I don't even remember what it was, but I do remember just getting it and kind of going from there.
That's amazing. That's really cool. So then
Yeah.
you started to like just gain interest in the idea of the planets doing different things and connecting with that energy?
Yeah, I just, like, got interested in that, and then I started actually because originally when I started my channel, I was reading playing cards. And at the time, I was collecting playing cards for some weird reason, like, just with different designs and stuff. But I was obsessed with, Coast to Coast AM, just the weird, radio station where they talk
Okay.
about weird stuff.
Yeah.
And, they had this guy on all the time who would read playing cards. He would, do cartomancy, and so I started learning actually from not from him, but he had a website at the time, and I was, like, learning from his website and everything like that. But I wasn't reading online yet, when I did that, so it wasn't until later till I started reading on YouTube.
Interesting. And where did the inspiration to read on YouTube come from?
My mom, before reading on YouTube, I had a business and, it failed. It basically I really let it fail, and I wasn't doing anything for, like, 3 years, and, one day my mom came in my room and she's like, "You're always messing around with cards, like, why don't you read cards?" I started that night, I literally started the channel.
Amazing. And was there, like, any
Yeah.
resistance in that, or you were just like, "I'm just gonna do it, and I'm not gonna worry about it?" Did you have fears about getting on video and
Um Not really, because I actually before that, part of my business was being on video, so it's like I've always been, on video. I had been doing videos for, like, years,
Yep,
so it was a little bit easier. I mean, I think I had, like, some of that initial, kind of anticipation anxiety, like, "Is this actually gonna work? Is it gonna do well?" But, it was pretty easy for me because 'cause I'd already been doing video for a long time.
that's amazing. And how long ago did you start your YouTube channel?
8 years ago now.
Wow, that's amazing, and you
Yep,
have, like, what, 800,000 subscribers?
709, I think, as of today.
Right, well, you're gonna have
709,000.
800
Yep.
soon.
On the way to 800.
I just round up, I just
Yeah, I like rounding up too.
just round up.
Y
But that's amazing, like, that's an incredible feat, and I think it's something that a lot of people might dream or aspire to, but then they never really do anything about it. Like, I have
Mm,
literally said for the past 10 years that I'm a YouTube sensation, and I just started my
mm.
YouTube channel last year. So,
You're getting there.
yeah, there's no hopes of doing it until you actually start doing it, right?
Yeah, exactly, yep, and you never know what it's gonna evolve into either.
No, definitely not. So, it took you a while to gain momentum though, right?
Yeah, I was stuck. I mean, just like 3 or 4 years ago, I was stuck at like 40,000. So, it took me for 3 or 4 years basically to get to that 40,000, but, I was pretty much just stuck in that place for, probably like 2 years, somewhere around there.
Wow, and you just kept going, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's the secret?
Yeah, I think that, and then I started trying as well. That's
Huh.
I actually started, like, applying myself, it's kinda funny because I come from the marketing world before this, and I wasn't using, like, any of my marketing tricks or, anything like that on my videos. I was just kinda, like, putting them out. But also, the other thing is, like, I didn't see the potential when I started. I mean, there were no readers that had over 10,000 subs. So,
Really?
to me, like, yeah, and then all of a sudden, like, that 3 to 4 years in, people were hitting 100,000, but I was still at 30,000. I was like, "Wait a minute, there's, like, a lot of potential in doing this."
Interesting, so other people actually made you see the evidence of
Mhm.
where you could go with it?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So in those early days, like when you were at that 40,000 mark, the change
Mhm.
in energy that you put forth was really just a change energetically as far as like, "Oh, I'm gonna get more determined about this?"
Yeah, it was like I'm gonna get more determined, but plus I was like I had skills that I like I like testing things. I'm a nerd, so I like numbers. I like looking at analytics and stuff like that. So I'm like, why am I not actually applying myself and actually looking at the numbers and doing what I'm good at in the first place?
That's so smart and seeing, like, what's working. That's one thing I've done over the
Yeah,
last 6
exactly.
months is, like, looking at my numbers and seeing like, I just got triple views and listens to a show I did on, attracting your soulmate. I'm like, "Well, that's a really attractive subject right
Mm,
now." People really wanna hear about how do
yeah.
I find the love of my life, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think love will always do well.
Yeah, I think you're right. Oh, I like that. Love will always do
Yeah.
well. That's awesome. All right, so what are some of the things that you had to overcome in that journey?
Number one, getting over myself. I always say that, like, I think that I was my own worst enemy for, like, I have been for forever. And so, like, getting over myself, and another part of that is when I started growing. I really before then, it's not like I would like hide what I was doing, but I wasn't going around telling people I'm a tarot reader. If people asked, I would just say like YouTube. I wouldn't say like I wouldn't expand upon what I do. But, like, around that time that I started growing, like, and I broke through that kinda plateau, was when I was, like, I started telling people exactly what I did. Like, didn't try to hide it. So I think that kinda ties into getting over myself.
Yeah, and do you think that hiding it is, like, kind of not an embarrassment, but almost like I mean, the whole thing with tarot and spirituality and putting ourselves out there
Mm,
that's not mainstream, is there, like, a little bit of
yeah.
shame in that?
Yeah, I think so. I think, like, thinking, like, but, it's weird 'cause I've just found out that, like, more people are really actually interested in it than they are, like, thinking it's weird or something like that. So, yeah, I think that's part of it for sure. I think also I didn't wanna like, I've always seen myself like, I think I saw myself going in a different direction in my life before that, so I didn't wanna, like, identify with it or something. I didn't wanna say that it was who I was. So that I think it was more that for me.
So it's like identity creation. It's like, do I really
Yeah.
want to be this person?
Yep.
Yeah, that's interesting. So you just got over that by doing it, basically?
Yeah, I think so, and I think as I just saw more potential in it too, so I was like, and I was more comfortable with it. But plus, I think I was like at that point in my life personally where I was getting over myself anyway, so I was like, I think it was just like part of the natural process,
Yeah, of letting go of, like, the low
just
self-esteem
letting
and
go.
yeah, I'm not good
Yeah,
enough and all of that, so I mean,
yeah.
having a YouTube channel, I feel like is probably the greatest way to heal all those wounds inside,
Oh yeah, definitely.
right?
Yeah.
Dealing with people, dealing with the public, dealing with putting yourself out there and not being completely not letting people's judgment stop
Mm,
you from what your gift is trying to give you.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so how do you deal with the haters?
Now I just ignore it for the most part.
Yeah.
I used to like worry about it, block it. I used to do that a lot, but now it's like, really, it's like it doesn't matter if it's a good or a bad comment on YouTube. It's gonna help your channel. So I leave the bad comments, I leave the good comments. I don't care anymore.
So it's true, there's no bad press, I guess, right?
Yeah, there is no bad press. Nope.
Well, and I always say to people, I say, whatever's going on with somebody, if they, say something to you, it has nothing to do with you unless you make it about
Mhm.
you. Like that's the part that's about you. If you get triggered and you feel hurt by it, then that's something for you to look at. But otherwise, it's just people being people.
Yeah, and, like Casey Neistat, he says that it's way easier for a person to leave a mean comment than it is for a person to leave a nice comment. So it's like, why even worry? It's like it's easy to say, "Oh, you're stupid. Oh, you're fat," or something like that. That doesn't take any creativity. So it's like a person leaving a comment like that, it doesn't mean anything, you know?
Absolutely. I have a guy on Instagram that always challenges me. He thinks it's his job to challenge me.
Yeah, of course.
And I'm just like, "Dude, I'm doing this, you're not. Just leave me alone." But
Yep.
I kinda like it because it does make me think, like, what am I
Mm.
actually promoting, and do I really believe it? So it kinda gets me more determined in what I believe, which is a good thing.
Yeah, and I think that's like, there is good there I have had comments that hurt that are good feedback, like that are legitimate. So I think we have to be able to say, no, this is actually, a good criticism. It's not a necessarily someone being mean, even if they are being mean, really.
I know, and I like that you're like that because even in your videos, you'll be like, you'll say things because you care about your
Mm,
audience. You care about people receiving what you're giving them, and I think that that's a level of professionalism and, really wanting to put out valuable information, which is great.
mm.
And your
Yeah,
information is
that's
so good. I have to say, I'm a little addicted. I
thank
like, I
you.
listen I listen to Abraham Hicks, I listen to Wayne Dyer, I
Mm.
listen to all these things on YouTube, and now I'm just finding myself listening to Chris. I'm like, "Does he put anything new out for me?" And that's a
Yep.
great it's just great because 'cause you'll say things and I'm like, "Oh, I know exactly." Crazy the other day. So, I was my husband and I just joined a new gym, and the gym is like a
Mm,
resort. It's a Lifetime Fitness. I mean,
mm,
it's incredible, right? So, we got the saunas, we got the hot tubs, we got the steam rooms, we got the cafe, we have everything, massage. I mean, I had a robe on, I went into massage. It was amazing. So, I told him the other day, I said, "I feel like I just walked through a portal. I feel like we just, like,
mm.
literally just hit this portal and walked through, and now we're part of this whole different world where we're meeting new friends and we're having a great time." And, you literally said that the next day on my video. I had to run
Oh,
into his office and play it
wow.
for him because I'm like, "I just said that."
Yeah, that is pretty crazy.
It's pretty wild. So I'm like, he
Yeah.
it's completely true, and so many times you've done that for me where I will hear your stuff
Mm,
and I'll go, that's exactly what's happening. So it uplevels my belief system, not only in what I'm doing, but in who I'm listening to and then where I'm going next. Because if we can create really great belief systems, which I think you do for people,
mm.
instead of being caught up in the minutia and the problems and like I'm not growing fast enough or whatever my issue is that day, if I can take what you say and really believe it, then I'm going to interrupt that stuff and create different.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I love that you're into law of attraction, and that's probably
Mm.
what honestly attracted me to you. What's your experience with law of attraction, and how do you connect it with what you do, with the cards?
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing law of attraction stuff for as long as I can remember. I had a vision board, like, I don't know, probably was like 16 when The Secret came out. It's funny because I heard my mom listening to it,
Oh,
but
cool.
it's one of those, yeah, it was one of those moments in my life where I was like, it just like, I could hear it as like, man, that makes so much sense. Like, it made sense to me at the time. And I remember like creating a vision board at the time and doing that. Now I pretty much just, I'm big into scripting. So, scripting is probably my favorite thing. I think I just, over the years have found what really works for me. Um, so that's pretty much what I do now.
So your process with scripting, are you writing out, like, the current story? Like, the what you wanna
Mm.
create, are you writing it out as if it's current?
Yeah, I write it out as if it's current. I pretty much write exactly what I like, how I want things to be, in the future or the next day. I always say like to people that I don't put a ton of pressure on myself to, I pretty much do it every day. I very, very rarely miss a day of doing it. But some days I write a paragraph, some days I write like 4 pages. It's kind of different. I don't force myself to, write a certain amount or anything like that. And so even if it's just something short, I still kind of do it.
I love that. So I just finished reading, Julia Cameron's book,
Hmm.
Floor Sample, which is her life story. So interesting, and I read The Artist's Way a long time ago, but one of the things I picked up from this was just the 3 pages a day, And I've
Right,
literally,
yep.
like, blown through writing 2 books since September
Wow.
just from doing 3 pages a day. It's amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
but she
awesome.
talks about automatic writing and how
Yeah.
her 3 pages a day were more about journaling and getting in touch with stuff, but I love the idea of just putting that towards your visions.
Yeah. I think that and, some days, like, speaking of that, I mean, some days I do just write, like I don't know what to write, so I just, like, write whatever comes out, it's garbage,
Yeah,
nothing, and then
yeah.
then it turns into something else.
Yep. That's
Yep.
awesome. Yeah, and it just connects you, right? It connects you with a deeper
Yeah.
part of yourself, and I think I definitely believe it connects you with higher consciousness, so we're in a different plane, like, anytime our mind is relaxed, we're basically in
Mm.
meditation, and we're in a kind of a channeling mode where we can let information come through that we wouldn't have access to otherwise.
Yeah, and I think, maybe that's why it's funny that you said it because I was thinking this the other day that maybe that's why it works for me because 'cause I've never been into writing, I've never been into school or anything until I started doing scripting, like, years ago, and even, it's funny because sometimes on the days where I, like, least wanna do it, I start doing it, I write the most because I think it gets me out of that resistant mode or whatever.
It's so true, and I love that you always share about Stephen Pressfield's The War of Art,
Yes.
because that book is the book that actually got me to write a book and finally publish.
Mm.
Because I had books in my computer, and I was afraid. I was totally afraid to put
Mhm.
myself out there, and, like, to actually align myself with information that was working well in my life, but that other people might go, "Oh, that's woo woo," whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but I love
yeah,
his book.
definitely, I mean, one of my favorites of all time. So,
Absolutely, and like
um
what you were just talking about, that creative flow and
mm,
doing it when you don't even feel like doing it is what actually inspires more of it to come.
yeah, absolutely.
That's great. That's awesome. What's your favorite manifestation story? What's, like, your favorite thing you've
Um
ever manifested?
Like, really my channel, I would say, number 1, because that's when I probably started scripting around then. Actually, before that, I had read Write It Down, Make It Happen. So I wasn't even scripting at the time, I was just kind of writing affirmations every single day because of that book. But I think that book kinda led me to start scripting, and, yeah, I would say I was, like, literally scripting my channel. There are things that have happened that I wrote down that literally I have created from doing that.
You can't make this shit up, right?
No, you can't. It's crazy. I mean, I think it's funny because like, people don't sometimes people are like, "Okay, whatever," they don't believe it, which is fine. I don't expect people to believe it, but at the same time, I'm like, it's free. It does not cost money for the most part, to write, like, a page a day even to try to change your life, you know?
Absolutely, and writing is the strongest form of focus, and what it does is and I feel like it's kind of the same idea of what your channel does, is it puts you in a frequency of
Mm,
clarity, knowing what you want, right? Because most people are very wishy-washy about they're almost
mm.
afraid, I think, to want, right?
Right,
Because
right,
they don't
yeah.
yeah, they don't wanna be disappointed, and then it puts it out into the universe, like, it activates energy, it's like putting your order on Amazon, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I
Yep,
love
and
that. So scripting, we gotta do some scripting, I love that.
absolutely.
Alright, so what is your favorite realignment technique? Like, when you get off of you're off your because you are an extremely creative person, if you don't follow Chris on Instagram, you're missing out, that's all I'm gonna say. Because 'cause you're really funny, but when I've noticed for myself, when I'm in creativity, when I'm creating, when I'm
Mm,
coaching groups, when I'm creating programs, I am at my very best, and when
yeah.
I'm not, right? So what do you do when you
Mhm.
get off the horse?
Yeah, I mean, I have a couple things. Number like, I said this the other day on a video too. I was talking about how I just like let myself have pity parties, but only for 24 hours. So if
Okay.
I'm having like, if something super bad happens, I allow myself the 24 hours. But walking has always been like my number one. Going for a walk has always been my number one thing for getting back into the zone, so to speak. So that's pretty much like the only thing I do. Other than, I kind of have a schedule as well. So some days, even when I have the 24 hours, but I pretty much always do 4 videos every single day. So, that's the minimum amount of work that I kind of allow myself to do. Um, and so sometimes once I get into that work mode, I kind of am able to realign myself as well.
That's I mean, that's a great gift is to
Mm.
just get in action, right?
Yeah, yeah, sometimes you just gotta move forward. I think that's why walking is so good.
And I love the idea of that. I do a lot of walks in nature, and I think just being in nature restores our well-being, and
Mm,
the way you express, like, you're moving forward, and I love that too.
right.
And moving your
Yeah.
body because we get stuck energy in our bodies, right?
Yeah, I sit here
Yeah,
all day. So
yeah.
right here, so, definitely.
I have the same issue. I think we talked about last time how, just going to the grocery store is like our big
Yeah.
thing out.
Yeah, I literally go to the grocery store every single day. I literally get my second gigantic coffee for the day as well, so, yep, every single day.
Yeah, just so you can, like, see humans and be part of a world that's
Yep.
not on the computer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, people don't understand, like, when you work from home, it can
Yeah.
be really challenging to, like, be with yourself all day and then be with people
Mhm.
that are out there that you're not necessarily really connecting with. We think we are,
Yeah, right.
but it's kind of a false sense of connection, and I think that's been part of our challenge in this part of society that we've suddenly taken part in is we're connecting with people, but not really. Like, we're not touching them, we're not
Mm.
hugging them, we're not laughing with them, that kinda thing.
Yeah, and definitely I think it can get weird if you
Yeah.
don't
But
interact with
you
people.
kinda like being alone, right?
Yeah, I definitely like my alone time. I'm a Pisces, Pisces like being alone for the most part, so I do, but my brother lives with me, so and
Oh,
his
that's
dog
good.
lives here as well,
Oh,
so
that's good. So they're never leaving you alone.
they never leave me alone.
No, I have children that won't leave me alone either,
Yeah, right.
which I
Kind
guess
of
is
like
a good
having 2
thing.
children.
Yeah, it's a good thing.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. So, what would you say to people that are afraid to do this? Like they're afraid to start a channel or like there's we have this
No.
desire in our heart and it calls to us and it calls to us. And like even you with the cards, like starting with that really young and then actually deciding you could start a business with it. What are some of the things that you could say that could help people kind of get over that hump of just doing it like you did it? Oh, Chris froze. Okay, come back. All right, we got a little interruption in our video, and that happens. Okay, and you cut out too. So let's see what we should do about this. All right. All right, let's see. Restoring this. I'm good. We're moving forward. All right, so I'm talking to Chris Reck, and we're going to see if we can get him to come back. We had a little interruption in our video. And we're talking about moving your life forward and following your dreams. Okay, let me see. Yes, it's still recording. All right. All right. So when people are looking at something they really want to do and it's really big and it keeps calling them over and over again,
Mhm.
you started this thing kind of, I don't know. It's interesting because would you say that this card thing was, I guess it was calling to you because you were still playing with cards, but it was more of like a hobby, right?
Yeah, it was more definitely a hobby at first, and even, my first videos were, like, super short, like 5 minutes. I wasn't putting a ton of time into into the beginning.
Were you doing all the different signs and stuff at the
Yeah, I
beginning?
was doing all Yeah, I was doing all 12, and I was doing just as many videos as I do now. I do weeklies and monthlies now, and that's what I started with as well, weeklies and monthlies. So I was doing pretty much just as much.
That's amazing. Yeah, you give so much value too. You're it seems like every day you have all these I'm inspired by your creativity. It's like
Yes, thank you.
seriously, we have endless energy and I think people believe that they only
Mm.
have a little bit of time so they can't create something and it's like you can do a lot with a little, right?
Yeah, absolutely, and, like, even starting small too, like, now I have a team, I have people help me with, like, all my other crazy ideas too, so, I mean, if I didn't have those people, then, I definitely wouldn't be able to do it or do half the stuff that I do, but, again, you have to start somewhere, so you might as well start small, start building, a team if you want to do, a lot, then, you definitely can't do it alone.
And believing that you can figure things out. Obviously, you've had to figure a lot of things out
Mm.
along the way, right, before you could hire.
Yeah, nobody knows what they're doing, I think that, like, so many people like, think, like, I even wanna say, like, Elon Musk, like, do you think he knew, like, how to do half the stuff that he's done? No, he doesn't know. Nobody has any idea what they're doing. You just have to do it, you know?
That's so true, and then the wisdom comes, and then the confidence comes, and then the people come that are gonna help take you to the next level, and that's why I think people try to, like, figure it all out before they start,
Mhm.
and it's like, you can't do that because there's too much resistance around figuring things out.
I blame school because I think, like, school makes us think that there's gonna be some test popping up around the corner or, whatever, and school teaches us that we have to, like, learn first, but really, that's, like, backwards. We should be, figuring things out as we go.
That is so absolutely true, and the anxiety that we've been set up in just failing tests or not getting it right or looking stupid in front of people, like, those are I call them
Mm.
playground wounds. It's like the stuff
Yeah.
that we experienced, right, in elementary school that set us up in belief systems that can bring us to our knees as adults because we don't realize that we're operating from those systems.
Yeah, and I think, like, the other thing I always think of is, like, I used to consult with businesses. I mean, I still do sometimes, and it's always funny to me that I would, like, be working with two similar businesses. And it's like one person would have no clue what they were doing, the other person they would have all this knowledge. And I think sometimes knowledge is like a curse because, like, the person who had no freaking clue what they were doing, I've seen it so many times where they would do something that, like, no one has ever thought of because they didn't have, like, that curse of knowledge, like, of knowing, oh, this should work this way. They would just, like, try something and it would work because they didn't know.
Oh, that's so true. My husband and I were talking recently, like, how much better off we would all be if we could just erase our brains from the
Just
past.
erase it, yeah.
Because that's the other thing is, like, we have
Yeah,
evidence of what's happened in the past, but it doesn't mean that that's
mhm,
where where our vibration is now. So what we do
right.
now could be totally different than what we did in the past, but we drag it with us, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that is so true. All right, so I was gonna ask you something, what was it? As far as, like, what's happening next? Like, do you always so I think people like to have this idea that they know exactly the next place they're gonna go, and for me, I'm literally
Mhm,
taking, like, week to week because I get these
mm,
crazy ideas. Like, just recently, I
yeah,
did my podcast on loneliness and attracting the love of your life, right? The love that you're craving,
mm,
how to attract it. And I got 3 times the views I normally get on a podcast. So now I'm like, "Okay, analytics," right? I'm looking at that going,
mhm,
"Alright, maybe there's a program on how to attract your soulmate, like, maybe that's my next move." But we get so locked into what we're doing, and we get
yeah.
scared of getting out of our comfort zone that I think a lot of people don't expand and grow along this journey.
Yeah, I mean, so, like, where am I going? Is that what
Yeah.
you're asking?
Yeah.
Because, so where I'm going is, I want to, help people make their dent in the universe. I mean, that's pretty much what I've picked as my North Star, if you will, the thing I wanna do, but, I think it's funny that you say that because I wanna do, 10,000 experiments in a year, and so that's kinda like the next thing that I'm working on, and, I think people hear 10,000 experiments, are like, "Oh, that's a lot," but an experiment could be I walk a different direction down the road. An experiment could be I go to a different store. And it's really the 10,000 experiments idea came because I was like, well, it came from James Altucher, who talks about doing 10,000 experiments, and it's kind of his idea, but mine's a little bit different. And also, just the fact that we live automatically. I think it's like Bruce Lipton or something says like 95% of our decisions are automatic. And I'm like, well, if you force yourself to do 10,000 experiments, which is like 30 a day, doing 30 things differently, you wouldn't be living automatically.
Wow. So did you start this
Yeah.
already?
I've been starting in the background. It's kind of like a secret, but like if you look at my channel, I've been doing shorts recently. I've been doing a lot of experimenting with shorts. Just because it's like a new playground on YouTube, it's something new. Some people don't like shorts, but, I don't know, it's something to experiment with, and, yeah, so yes, to answer your question.
That is really cool. So do you have, I'm enamored by this. Do you have, like, get up in the morning and come up with 30 different things you're gonna do that day?
So I haven't done that yet. I'm gonna because what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make it like its own YouTube channel. Well, it's gonna be on the
Yep,
Chris Reck YouTube channel. But I haven't decided, like, maybe it needs to be an experiment, but I haven't decided if I wanna do it like vlog style, or if we're just gonna be like, I kinda think I might do a video on the big ones, on the big things that I do, because some of the experiments I have planned are gonna take like a year. They're
yep.
gonna take the full amount of time. Others are just like little daily things. So it's kinda like a mixture.
I love that, and that's just activating more energy because you're not
Mm,
in your automatic behaviors and keeping
right.
your life the same over and over again.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. You don't really have any resistance to change, do you?
No, I don't. I just I like experiment. I mean, I also came up with this because I like experimenting. I like trying new things, doing things differently.
Yep.
I drive people crazy with my channel. So, like in the first place, with the stuff that I'm constantly changing, the different stuff I'm always doing. So why not?
I love it. It's like the leading edge, and it's like showing people that we don't have to just continue to be the same all the time because we are always expanding and growing, right?
Mm.
That's really cool. Did you ever read the book by Pam Grout? Oh, I forgot the name of it. I can't. Oh, E Squared.
Oh yeah, E squared. Yes,
Yes,
of
yeah.
course.
She does,
Yeah.
9 simple experiments you can do to
Yep.
prove the law of attraction works. That was, like, my first well, The Secret was my first law of attraction book, but that was, like, the book that got me to, like, really believe in myself. The one where she
Yeah.
says to pick out, and notice how many beige cars you can see that day. I
Yes.
saw
Yeah.
123 beige cars that
Wow, that's crazy.
I was, like, blown away. I was like, "This shit works," you know?
Yeah. Yep.
So I love that. So yeah, that seems like a really intense feat, 30 a day.
Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna see how it goes. See if
I'm
it
I'm
works.
I'm really I wanna know the process in that, and I think that that's even something that you could share with people. I know there was a book out called, I forget what it was called, but it was about saying yes, and you take a whole year and you
Yeah.
say yes to everything that comes to you.
Yep, I know what you're talking about. I don't remember what that is either.
Yeah, but it's interesting. I did it for a while, and I'm actually kind of a
Mhm.
yes girl anyways, but
Yeah.
I'm more intuitive about it now, like, I ask myself if I really wanna do it.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But when it comes to, like, going to events or meeting people or connecting with people, I'm pretty much always a yes, because I feel like getting ourselves out there is a huge part of us co-creating and becoming more, and I am a people person. I do love to be alone, but I
Mhm.
need to be around people because that's where my energy is, fueled, and I love conversation, as you can tell. So yeah, I can't wait to see how that turns out. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
it's gonna be an exciting experiment for
It sounds really
for sure.
cool. So what is the difference between, like, what do you tell people as far as, like I love blaming stuff on the planets, I always say that, I'm like, "I love
Yeah.
blaming shit on the planets." Like, I felt funky today, it was totally the planet's fault, which is funny because I'm
Yeah.
not a victim. I, like, gave up
Right.
victim mentality a long time ago, but I feel like it helps us not to beat ourselves up. But what do you promote as far as your tarot reading and the planets and how people should really conduct their lives?
Yeah, I mean, I always tell people that, both astrology and tarot is loose guidance at best. So, I tell people to take it with a grain of salt. And I basically do it as, a majority of my living. So, that there you go. But to me, it's like I don't think we should let it control us. I mean, there were times in my life where like something I'd hear something in the astrology, it would ruin an entire month for me.
Yeah,
And I always say, like, if we listen to this stuff, I mean, you would never get anything done if you followed all the rules. So
so true.
um I always say it's like loose guidance at best.
Yeah, and I love that because, like, the idea of going through a Mercury retrograde and not like,
Mm.
let's say, $1,000,000 contract comes across your lap and you're like, "Oh, no, I can't sign that because
Yeah,
Mercury's
yeah.
in retrograde." It's like, "What?"
And that's not even, people think that, but I always say, like, that's not even the rule. The rule is, like, during Mercury retrograde, like, okay, fine, but go get it checked, like, by 3 times or something like that. If I think
Yeah,
as long as you kind of work with the energy, it's not a prison sentence, it's
right,
just
do your
you
due
have to just
diligence.
work with it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is actually a good thing, and that's something you should do anyways, but it just helps you
Anyway,
to
right.
feel yeah, to feel more
And
assured that you're doing the right thing. I love that.
and
Yeah, and
I mean,
that's
that's what I think.
y go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I think half the time astrology, that's what it is. It's basically, like, stuff you should be doing anyway, and the universe is like, "Hey, are you remembering to do what you're supposed to be doing anyway?"
Exactly. And I like the idea that planetary things and energies, because everything is energy, and I totally believe in that. And I like the idea that, the planets align, and there's times when there's an ebb and flow in the universe. And when you know when to flow and you know when to kind of hang back a little bit, it
Mm,
gives you permission to work with the energy fields instead of always resisting and pushing against and trying so freaking hard. It almost gives us an excuse to kind of hang back a little bit and let the energy activate and become more. So I love the idea of working with the planets and just having that knowledge. It helps me because it makes me realize like,
mm.
okay, this day was a shit show and I don't know. Oh, okay, the moon is full and it's
Yeah.
clear to me that the people are going crazy over it. So like,
Yeah.
it just helps. I think it helps so
It
much.
it does, for sure.
Yeah. Are there other modalities that you rely on? Are you into any other things or is it just cards?
Cards, tarot, astrology. Are there other things I believe in? No, not really.
No? Law of
Um,
attraction?
y yeah, I'm weirdly logical too. I mean, I have this, I have a side that I think is very, I don't know, I'm a Gemini moon. So, if you know anything about astrology, Gemini moon's like we're the classic sitting on the fence type of person. So, it's like I mean, people who come to me and they like disagree with tarot or whatever, that they think it's all fake or whatever. I see their side too. So I'm like, yeah, I agree with you. So,
Totally.
I have a very logical side to me, I think sometimes, maybe a little bit too realistic sometimes as well.
Yeah, I'm so like that too, and I think that's why I got attracted to manifesting and law of attraction because I can put a very, science logical base to it,
Mm,
so it kinda settles the logical mind, and then when I bring in the spirituality, the logical mind is satisfied, so it kinda connects both of them, and I think that that's the best way for people to learn too, because we all have a logical mind, you know? It needs to make
yeah.
sense. Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
that's
But I
cool.
think it's more fun to live this way, so
Totally.
I'd rather have the fun.
I agree. I like flying by the seat of my pants. I like
Yeah.
believing in things that are, like, unseen, like, things that I can't see and, like, recognizing that there's energy all around me that's orchestrating it on my behalf. Like, I constantly say, "This is a huge setup." It's a huge setup.
Yeah, right.
We're being set up for good, right?
Yeah, it's one of my favorite quotes, from the Buddha. He says, "If you only knew how perfect your life was, you'd throw your head up at the sky and laugh."
It's
So,
so true.
it's like, that's exactly how it is.
It's so true. And one of the craziest setups, I think, is us connecting and finding
Mm,
out that we were
yes.
born in the same hospital.
Same hospital, yep, same town.
Still I'm still completely I mean, I'm from Connecticut, which you are too, little
Yep,
tiny state, and
yep,
we were born in the same hospital. I mean, and it was years. I
yeah,
mean, I was in high school when you were born, but the
yep.
fact of that matter makes me feel like literally we have all these players going on and we're all connecting for like we were meant to connect, and I think that just makes me feel good.
I know, yeah, it does.
Yeah. And it's like you can't make this shit up.
No, you can't either, you cannot make that up.
That was one of those moments, right?
Yeah, crazy, yeah. But I've
And
had other moments like that,
yeah,
you
where
know?
you're just like
Yeah.
you're astounded, right?
Yep, yep.
And no matter how much I believe in this stuff and no matter how much I teach it and talk about it all day, it never ceases to surprise and delight me.
And yeah, and we should be celebrating it, every time it happens, so, I'm all about it.
I've heard you say that on videos, and I think that's one of
Yeah,
the things that people forget.
yep.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
we
when
manifest and then we're on to something else, and it's like I manifested $10,000 one day, and I needed
nice.
it to pay off a car loan that I had in somebody else's name, and I literally remember waking up the next day being like, "Okay, what's next?" Like,
Yep.
I took maybe a half a day to be excited about
Mhm.
that.
Yeah, exactly.
and it was one of my greatest manifestations. I mean,
Mm,
it was wild. So we got to celebrate. And the celebration is what activates more. When we have gratitude and we celebrate manifesting, that's when more can come. Because if we're constantly like not having enough and
mm.
I always, I look at people that take from the universe all the time. They're always like, things are owed to me. I need to take, take, take. And then I watch things happen in their life and things are taken from them. I'm like, "Oh, you're out of whack. You're out of balance. You got to start giving in order to get the balance of giving and receiving back in play because if we're always taking, right? And the same thing goes with receiving. If you can't receive, if you're always pushing people's compliments away or you can't take favors, then the universe will have a hard time delivering to you what you're actually asking for.
Yeah, I mean, I think and that's a big one for spiritual community, like asking for, charging money, asking
Huge.
for money, all that.
Yeah. I know. I don't know where we got set up in this idea that we're supposed to do things for free. I'm like, there always has to be an exchange of value. And if you're not giving an exchange of value, you're not going to receive the gift from that person in the same way. I say that all the time because it's like, I'm not asking for money because I want your money. I'm asking because for you, I'm asking for
Yeah,
that
right.
exchange of value. Not that I love money. I love spending money. I love abundance, but I don't do this for the money. I do it because I love to do it and I'm passionate about it. And then the money comes. And people don't necessarily get that.
Yeah, I talk about this with my brother a lot because, like, when we were kids, we would play video games, and sometimes we would use cheat codes, and it's like I think when you get something for free, it's like a cheat code. But the problem with the cheat code is like once have a cheat code, then you don't want to play the game anymore because it actually isn't fun.
Right.
So
It takes away from
I
it.
think that's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It takes away from the challenge and
yeah,
yeah. Oh, that's so true. Yeah, don't cheat code life. I love that.
yeah. Don't cheat. Yeah.
That's good. Oh, well, this was really awesome. Is there anything else that you wanna share? Because you are a brilliant mind, you have a lot of
Oh,
wisdom,
thank you.
and I rely on it, actually.
Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah,
no, thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
it was really fun, and, would love to do it again at any time you're free.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime.
Alright, awesome. Well, thank you, Chris Reck, for being here.
Thank you.
We will see you all again soon. Peace out. Love y'all.
Thanks.